Imagine you're on your final days of your trip to Japan and realize that you still have a lot of shopping left to do. You need gifts for your family and friends, you can't get enough Pocky snacks, and you need to buy another suitcase for all your souvenirs. So you decide to visit Don Quijote, the famous discount store chain. Even before you enter the store, you're tantalized by stacks of Kit Kats and rice crackers, silky sunscreen, and adorable but impractical sandals. There's also a fish tank for some reason. Oh hey, Bruno Mars! What are you doing here? You step into the store and quickly find yourself in a rainbow maze of big, bold numbers, blue and pink penguins, and shelves overflowing with merchandise. The catchy store jingle, Miracle Shopping, stalks you throughout the store, while small monitors playing commercials blast narrations to grab your attention. You walk around in awe and stumble upon a wall of cute socks, chopsticks, Mount Fuji keychains, and plates with Lucky Cats. It's everything you need to surprise your loved ones back home. Turn around and you find earbuds and other phone accessories. You were just thinking of getting a new pair. The alleys guide you down paths filled with Hello Kitty, Pokemon, and Winnie the Pooh, until you end up in the makeup and skincare section. They have all the popular lotions you saw on TikTok and a mystery serum that you're not quite sure about. But it's 200 yen a bottle. Well, why not? Into the basket it goes. Hey, they even have costumes? Looks like you're shopping for Halloween early this year. You continue wandering around and you could go and look at that corner behind the pink curtains, but you are too shy. Understandable. On to the secondhand luxury section. Don Quijote has every product you can imagine, and some beyond your imagination. T-shirts that can be worn inside out, front or back. Foldable suitcases for easy storage. Extra hot level 15 tomato spaghetti. The biggest can of oranges you've ever seen for 200 yen in a kit that turns it into a giant jelly dessert. Sweet potatoes fresh off the stove. American salt-flavored potato sticks. Gloves made out of cleaning cloth to get to those hard-to-reach spots. An ear cleaner and a camera that connects to your phone. There is a discovery on every shelf and you can't stop browsing. Satisfied with your haul, you walk to the register humming along with the theme song. You think to yourself, wow, this place is so fun. I wish I had a donkey in my country. I'm not sure if I would buy that bacon cheese tartar sauce I saw earlier, but if I lived in Japan, I would come here all the time for their great deals and cool stuff. What's not to love about Don Quijote? Now imagine that I'm behind you and I'm screaming, how the hell is this place real? These are all quirky things that make Don Quijote beloved by the Japanese people and overseas visitors alike, but they can just as easily be framed as flaws in a retail business. A store shouldn't be a maze. It should have aisles that are easy to navigate and naturally guide customers from one end of the store to the next. Finding and picking up items should be effortless. So why am I constantly crouching down to reach products? Why am I scared that these towers of snacks are going to fall on me? Who's actually buying stinky pig ramen? Sure, it makes sense that I can buy rolls of toilet paper along with my skincare. But what do you mean Donkey has their own line of charcoal? These aren't random products made by a third-party company, mind you. These are all Donkey's private brand. If you know the slightest bit about marketing, you know that brand identity is one of the most important things for a business. So what is Donkey's identity? Stuff? The more you think about it, the more you notice that Don Quijote is going against everyone's expectations for traditional retail. It's too cramped with knickknacks to be a supermarket. It doesn't have the pristine air of a makeup store or the medicinal white of a drugstore. And I don't think locations are family-friendly enough to be called toy shops. The store feels like a gimmick. It feels like it shouldn't work. Yet, 2024 marked Don Quijote's parent company, Pan Pacific International Holdings' 35th year of increased profit. This company is up there with Japanese retail giants such as convenience store chain 7-Eleven's 7&I Holdings, supermarket and mall chain Aeon, and fashion tycoon Uniqlo's Fast Retailing. Don Pin's flippers have already reached overseas, with Don Don Donki stores established in Singapore, Hong Kong, Malaysia, and Thailand. Their conquest of the United States has already begun. PPIH owns Tokyo Central and Marukai, Japanese supermarket chains with several locations in Hawaii and California. And the company's supreme advisor Takao Yasuda isn't planning to stop there. As someone who grew up going to Don Quijote, it feels like only a few years ago, this store was mocked for selling weird, unwanted junk and attracting the worst kinds of customers. Like, the location I'm most familiar with shares a parking lot with a pachinko parlor. Yet, between 2019 and 2020, when many brick-and-mortar stores were hurt by the pandemic, Donki saw a big jump in popularity and profit. I needed to find out how the heck this chain is so successful, not just with tourists amazed by their wacky, affordable products, but to domestic shoppers with a sharp eye for deals and quality. And so I read the book SHINGEKI NO DONKI, or Attack on Donki, from Nikkei Business Publications, and discovered that there is much more to Donki than meets the eye. I learned that their shops are purposefully designed to make you feel like an adventurer exploring a jungle. I saw that their business philosophies are unafraid of drastic change, failures, and creativity. And I learned that behind their chaotic storefront is a highly competitive yet surprisingly empowering work culture. Still, the more I read about Donki, its business empire, and grand aspirations, an anxiety grew inside me. After reading Attack on Donki, I'm convinced that their business will expand and conquer the United States, that it could possibly dominate the Asian grocery store business around the world. Don Quijote, with its jungle of discount products and wacky goods, could become a household name, just like Amazon or Temu. But would we want that? Our tale of Don Quijote, not this one, begins in 1979. The founder, Takao Yasuda, opened a discount store named Dorobo Ichiba, or Thieves Market. The location was terrible. It was far from train stations and had no parking lot, and Yasuda crammed all his merchandise into less than 350 square feet of space. This store should have been a failure if it wasn't for its late operation hours. Back then, convenience stores were the only other retail business open late into the night, and they hadn't proliferated to the extent that we see now. Desperate to make an extra yen, Yasuda kept his shop open past midnight to capitalize on the night owl market. In 1980, Yasuda created a retail corporation named Just. 5 years after opening, however, Yasuda sold Thieves Market to focus on his other company, Leader, a wholesale store. Leader became a successful business in the following years, selling wholesale merchandise to other stores, but Yasuda hadn't given up on owning his own retail store. It was finally in 1989 when he re-entered the industry with the first Don Quijote in Fuchu City, Tokyo. Yasuda took what he learned from the successes and mistakes of Thieves Market and put it into Donki. It was another discount store that stayed open late into the night, had a claustrophobic layout made from stacked boxes and overfilled shelves, and had pop signage slapped everywhere to grab the attention of shoppers. But this time, it was in a much more popular location. By the time the second Donki opened, the company had reached over 2 billion yen in yearly profits. Eventually, as the Don Quijote brand grew, the wholesales business, Leader, stopped selling to other retail stores, shrunk in size, and was absorbed into Just's retail business. Finally, the company Just was renamed Don Quijote. At this point, Don Quijote's climb in profits poised the business for massive success, but there was just one problem. The company's reputation was far from favorable. As profitable as its business was, a lot of people didn't want a Donki in their neighborhood. In 1999, the Group Against the Opening of Don Quijote was formed in a town in Kanagawa Prefecture. This isn't me being lazy with translation. Japanese political party and activist group names just be like that. According to this article on the Japan Labor Party website, the group opposed Don Quijote for 2 reasons. First, a large retail company like Donki will hurt local businesses, and second, it will lower the quality of life in the surrounding area. A store that operates until 3 a.m. isn't just a noise and pollution concern. It could attract delinquents. The article even argues that realtors lowered rent for properties close to Donki because no one wanted to live near the store. Donki settled this incident by agreeing to close this location early at 11 p.m., but it triggered other neighborhood groups across Japan to rally against Donki, further worsening their reputation. The echoes of this event are still felt today. In 2019, locals of Ichihara City in Chiba voiced concerns that the transformation of their supermarket Uni into a Mega Don Quijote Uni would turn it into a gathering spot for juvenile delinquents. Refined is never a word I would use to describe Donki. They have cardboard boxes open and exposed, charming but clearly handwritten signage everywhere, and the cramped aisles are just not my thing. When I was in Tokyo last year, I got lost in every Donki I visited. They usually had the thing I was looking for, but it was a pain in the ass to find. Sure, the store is technically sectioned off into categories, but it's very hard to tell where one area ends and the next starts, and then you gotta look up and down the shelves to find the thing you want. There's so much verticality here. It's the Dark Souls of retail stores. If you're looking for one specific item, it's a frustrating experience. But what if this was all done on purpose? I'm inclined to say that I'm using Donki wrong because Donki isn't just a store, it's an experience. When I go into Donki looking to buy, let's say, circle lenses, one of Donki's popular products among female customers, it's not a failure on Donki's part to place these contacts several aisles deep inside its store. They want me to slither through the candy, outdoor recreation, and electronics areas, tempting me with potato chips and cute My Melody earbuds until I get to what I want. In fact, I may come across those potato chips in different locations of the store if they're really intent on making me buy them. And as I'm making my way to the contacts, all kinds of large, vibrant signage are screaming for my attention, sometimes literally. I mean, how can I not look at these drawings? Even if I'm not interested in the product, I can't stop myself from glancing at this aggressive advertising. But why is it so in your face? As author Daisuke Sakai details in his book, Attack on Donki, Donki's formula is a combination of three qualities: convenience, discount, and amusement. It's not difficult to find the first two in Japanese retail. Convenience stores are everywhere in the country and sell food, drinks, toiletries, and even basic electronics. And local grocery stores always have great deals on fresh produce and pre-made meals. While Donki does offer these things, the axis they're really competing along is the last factor: amusement. Their business strategy is to offer a space that is fun on its own. Their thought is, by attracting customers and keeping them in the store, that experience will lead to sales. Their overwhelming labyrinth of products and ads is less about getting as many items into your cart as they can, but creating a sense of treasure hunting. They want you to dig through bins and search every corner of their store so you feel like you found the most interesting items. They want you to be shocked by their insane discounts and walk away with that impression, even if that means that on-sale product sells at a loss. They want to become a sort of retail amusement park full of surprises and discoveries. This dedication to amusement extends to their private brand. They have some standard merchandise like t-shirts and plushies of their mascot character, the adorable Dojo-chan, and the penguin too. But just like their store, many of their original products are loud and kinda weird too. For example, do you love fried chicken? Specifically, do you love the breaded skin of chicken? Well, for people like you, they made a bento box that is only rice and breaded fried chicken. How about that, like, a little bit of batter at the bottom of corn dogs? Don't you want to stuff your face with corn dog tips? No? Okay, maybe you're not that into breading, but everyone loves garlic, right? So how about this bowl of spaghetti that uses one whole head of garlic? Alright. Maybe if I read from this potato chip bag, it'll convince you that you have to eat this. Introducing a potato chip that you'll want to tell everyone about. Our product leader had a fateful meeting with this chip in the United States and negotiated and begged on his knees to import it into Japan. These chips are made out of low-carbohydrate American potatoes, the best kind of potato for potato chips. They have been cut thick, fried in olive oil, and seasoned with extra sea salt for a salty, crunchy experience. You have got to try the olive oil aroma yourself. Wait, these are just kettle chips. If you thought your carton of Oatly was chatty, it has nothing on Donki's private brand. It's not just these chips, all their packaging has this energy. Take a look at these sour jelly treats. The text reads, "We have answered to the demands of sour lovers and created the most sour jellies in the history of jellies. Consumers beware." Donki certainly makes products that are eye-catching by themselves, but even among their more mundane goods, they implement two marketing techniques. They personify the company by hinting at the production of the product and boast about the product by speaking straight to the consumer. It sort of paints them as an underdog of the industry that you want to cheer for, or at least makes you want to hear them out. And you can experience these products vicariously with me on Twitch. A little after this video goes public, I'll stream myself with a Donki food haul where I'll try out various Japanese treats and Donki branded snacks. It'll be fun, and I'd love to chat with my audience. Grab a pack of Pocky and some green tea for yourself too. Whether on the micro product scale or the macro store atmosphere, Donki's chaos is thoughtfully designed. They understand that if you make something meant for everyone, it will appeal to no one. Many large companies struggle with this concept because they want to capture everyone's attention and ostracize as few people as they can. What's shocking is that Don Quijote decided to tackle this dilemma by stuffing their stores with all kinds of stuff and telling everyone to go off and find what they like themselves. This is why it was my mistake for going into Donki when I just wanted some cough drops. I should have gone to a regular drugstore, but no, I spirited away myself into Donki Land. But this selection, this presentation, doesn't come out of nowhere. Someone has to organize the shelves. Someone has to draw the signs. Someone has to advocate for these delicious kettle chips. This is where Don Quijote's most interesting business strategy comes in: floor staff autonomy. Hello, Intermission Nil is here to remind you to smash that like and subscribe button. As someone who makes long-form content like this, I appreciate every bit of support that'll help me get more eyes on my videos. Thank you for watching so far, and I hope you enjoy the rest. So reading this book with its beautifully printed highlighted characters, I noticed that Don Quixote has a lot of buzzwords in their company. I guess that's what happens when a company prints its own Bible. This is not an overstatement. The founder wrote a corporate philosophy book named The Source, and many employees are cited saying they read this thing multiple times and reference it when they're feeling stuck. You can't find the full text on Pan Pacific International's website, but they do have their 6 commandments listed. What I want to focus on is commandment number 3, specifically the first clause. Boldly granting authority to those at the center of things, we are always ready to move people around to make sure they are in the best possible position. In a typical corporate-owned store, many parts of store operations are instructed by the parent company. While different companies have varying degrees of strictness, they usually dictate the price of products and what promotions to run across stores, instruct store managers on what kinds of people to hire, and inventory management is centralized. Many retail store layouts are based on a prototype store with similar square footage, resulting in cookie-cutter layouts across shops. This is done to ensure that across stores of the same chain, customers can expect similar experiences, which in turn builds a brand image customers can rely on. This is why when you go to a random drugstore in a different state, you have a pretty good idea that the makeup is going to be alongside the entrance wall, medicine will be in the back close to the pharmacy, and food will be strategically placed to entice you along your way to the register. Don Quixote, however, doesn't have as strict of a manual for how all their stores should operate, and purposely gives as much operation autonomy to the staff on site as they can. In other words, they are boldly granting authority to those at the center of things. They have another phrase for this, shugenzaigen. It's a play on shugenzai min, the Japanese phrase for popular sovereignty. But instead of giving power to the people, it gives power to the present, the existing, the reality. With this iron law in place, store staff, even if they're part-time workers, use their judgment as people on the grounds to rearrange displays, create signage, etc. They not only decide the selling price of products, but negotiate with suppliers directly. As a result, you get stores that are highly responsive to customers' needs and trends, even those unique to that area, because the staff actually have the power to respond to those fluctuating needs quickly. Lisa Du's Bloomberg article, "The Cult Japanese Retailer Making Billions Breaking All the Rules," illustrates this with some great examples. During a recent visit, a shelf facing the beauty section heaved with cooling wipes, sunscreen, and multicolored deodorants. Until that morning, manager Yohei Hasebe says the space had been devoted to moisturizers. Anticipating warmer weather, staff decided to make a swap. Downstairs, the food area drew in teenagers with tapioca milk tea, a trendy beverage in the capital. Hasebe says he might soon add a section for spicy snacks, designed to appeal to Chinese tourists. Most chain stores wouldn't give this kind of freedom to their store staff for fear of putting their brand image at risk. Even if management were to allow some diversity across stores, suggestions from the bottom would have to traverse layers of middle management if they get recognized at all. But at Donki, store managers have the final say in most decisions. It can be as simple as asking, "This snack is popular on TikTok, can we bring it to the front?" for someone to create a new display. And why shouldn't they do that? Store staff know their customers best, and they're the ones who look at raw sales numbers and costs on a daily basis. If a store wants to cash in on trends and consumer needs, it makes sense to rely on the intuitions of the people actually dealing with customers. My favorite example of this from Attack on Donki is the management of Kira Kira Donki, a subtype of Don Quixote that caters to Gen Z and millennial women. As the author Daisuke Sakai explains, the store manager, Miss Omori, had been working at Don Quixote for 10 years, but is still only 27 years old. Kira Kira Donki needs to appeal to high school girls who are into fashion, cosmetics, idol culture, and cute snacks. They need a manager like Miss Omori who isn't just in tune with trends herself, but also has an eye for staff that embody that kind of shiny store experience. When hiring for opening staff, she looked for people who weren't just excited to work, but added to that sparkly pink atmosphere. She specifically asked during the interview, "What do you spend money on?" to get a sense of the applicant's hobbies, and noted their personal taste in clothing. As a result, her staff's median age is 19 years old, and they represent all kinds of fashion styles. Over time, through analyzing sales, they changed the layout and products of the store. Colored contacts were selling even better than they first expected, so they expanded the contacts area. They offered a large variety of bows and vests for girls who wanted to dress up their school uniforms. I doubt that anyone even one rank above Miss Omori could have made these decisions, or even if they could, it would take months of marketing research to reach something their teen staff recognized instinctively. These quick adjustments can be found all over an individual store, but they can also happen to a whole shop. In 2024, Domise was established in Shibuya. In concept, it was supposed to be a concentration of the best that Donki offers. They put out best sellers from their private brand, new and renovated products, and overstock items at the cheapest price. One big problem: Domise was right across the street from the 7-story mega Don Quixote. They were effectively competing against themselves, and it was obvious that customers were skipping Domise to go over to the much larger and familiar Donki. This store closed in 8 months. However, it didn't even take a month for this location to be renewed into a Kira Kira Donki, which is much more distinctive and appealing to the young Shibuya crowd. Now the store is doing just fine. Another impressive story was about a store manager who was in charge of a location in a train station shopping mall. She saw a store across from her Donki close, leaving behind an empty storefront, and negotiated with the mall proprietor herself to turn that space into a limited-time Christmas Donki. Reading all these stories, I had to double-check that Don Quijote is not a franchise operation. But yeah, these are all corporate-owned stores, but one where the parent company gives them a lot of freedom. With great power comes great responsibility, of course. Staff are welcome to make all kinds of decisions for their store, but they're the ones who have to deal with the flops if products don't sell well. That 200 yen mystery serum you threw into the cart, someone probably overstocked and they're trying their best to get rid of it. It's safe to say that person messed up. But who says you can't make something out of failure? The Shikujirishi, or Screw Up City, is a bold display of Donki staff mistakes. In this section of the store, piles of overstocked product are proudly put on display with signs basically reading, "We f***ed up, we pushed the envelope too far, please take this off of our hands." At Donki, even business failures are turned into entertainment. As Pan Pacific International Holdings Senior Executive Officer Tetsuya Kurabe puts it, there's nothing funnier than seeing someone screw up. Some of you might be thinking that this is a lot of responsibility to put on store staff, especially those working part-time. And yeah, it is. This is not a job for someone who wants to quietly stack shelves and to follow a manual to a T. Reading posts on Japanese job review sites, working at Donki stores can be hit or miss, a lot of it dependent on how thoughtful your coworkers are. I'd say about half the negative reviews are about dealing with annoying customers. But for positive reviews, workers said that as hard of a job as it is, they learn a lot and have fun. Donki is a workplace that allows staff to express themselves. Staff wear uniforms, but are allowed to color their hair and paint their nails. I know that doesn't sound like much to Americans, but a lot of Japanese businesses, even retail, judge this kind of fashion choice as too flashy or even unsanitary. At Donki, staff get to show off what they like and what they're good at, and think and act on what's good for business. I believe for someone to feel fulfilled in their work, they must have a sense of control in their workplace and see how their individual contributions affects the business. I think the way Donki is set up to give that feeling to even their part-time staff is commendable. I mean, think about it. Let's say you're working at a Donki around Halloween, and all your coworkers get together to talk about how to arrange everything. There are some obvious choices like putting out seasonal candy in the front, but then Tanaka from the toy department asks Suzuki from the cosplay section if he can put kids' costumes in the toy aisle. Nakamura from the cosmetics area wants to make a display with bold costume makeup, so she asks the pop sign creators to make a picture of Donko in like sexy cat makeup. Everyone decides that they should make a prank shelf with all kinds of knickknacks for punishment games, like sour candies, whoopee cushions, horse masks, and that infamous nose hair wax kit. Wouldn't it be fun and fulfilling to do work that encourages everyone to take charge and collaborate? I think if more stores were like this, retail jobs wouldn't be quite as demoralizing. Now, another group of you might be thinking, that's good and all, but what about upper management? With over 600 Don Quijote and related stores in Japan, how can all these stores operate with so much autonomy without getting out of control? Who are these store managers reporting to? Aren't they at the mercy of their regional branch office, some hotshot that's supposedly looking after all the stores in their prefecture? Oh boy, okay, get this. The supreme advisor of PPIH, Takao Yasuda, believes in stuff like a good manager should know all the names of their staff under them, and that one person can only realistically manage a group of 140-ish people. In 2020, when he realized that each of Don Quijote's 20 branch managers oversaw 20 to 30 stores with over 1,000 employees under them, he knew this was time for what he would call creative destruction. So he implemented the million store system, where branch offices are capped to cover regions of roughly 1 million customers, resulting in the original 20 branch manager positions to be split into over 100 positions. More managers means fewer people reporting to one manager, which means each manager has better oversight of their operations. Alright, that makes sense. On top of this, there are yearly performance reviews where managers are ranked based on profit contributions, and managers who rank at the top are heavily rewarded. However, every year the bottom 20% of managers are demoted and replaced with new faces. This system keeps everyone on their toes. They not only have to keep up with their fellow branch managers, they have to outdo each other to keep their positions. And even if you rank at the top one year, you're only reviewed for that year's profits, so you can't slack off or someone else is going to get a taste of that sweet, sweet bonus. Yasuda turned performance reviews into an anime tournament arc. I have mixed feelings about the million-star system. Initially, I was sold on the idea. Breaking the branch manager positions into smaller regions sounds like a good way to maximize the capabilities of each manager. They can concentrate their efforts on 3 to 5 locations instead of spreading it thinly across dozens. I also think that this competitiveness reflects Don Quixote's business philosophy of renewing itself to continue offering excitement and making room for fresh perspectives. But then I got to thinking about stack ranking, a similar practice that is heavily criticized and often hated by workers. Stack ranking is a forced ranking system placed on employees that puts them on a bell curve and cuts the bottom percent, and it rarely delivers on its promises. Even if stack ranking were to work and cut out unproductive employees, it comes with big drawbacks. Putting an evaluation system into practice is a time and money sink. Standards have to be brainstormed, discussed, written, and reworked. And then managers have to spend hundreds of hours a year on performance reviews and training. There's no guarantee that the workers replacing the ones who were cut are going to do any better. Heck, maybe the people who were cut would have had a better chance to improve given more time acclimating to the company culture. But now you gotta train the new hires all over again. Speaking of company culture, this is terrible for morale. An arbitrarily competitive workplace isn't just stressful for everyone, it could drive away talented workers who get sick of the cutthroat culture. I don't think Donki's system is as devastating. Attack on Donki mentions that demoted managers can get another shot at the position again, and it's a demotion, not a firing, so it's not a complete loss. They also have staff from the Answer Man division ready to answer any questions or concerns about evaluations and protecting store staff and such. But I couldn't see how this was different from a typical HR department. Overall, this feels like a half-baked attempt at flattening a company, which I guess it is better than not trying at all. There's a great Harvard Business Review article by Gary Hamel that shows how Donki could be better. In his article, First, Fire All the Managers, Hamel unpacks the operations and structure of Morningstar, a tomato processing company. To summarize, Morningstar doesn't have typical manager positions for overseeing departments, but instead grants workers at all levels the power to plan, organize, and control their domains. They're expected to communicate with colleagues from different departments and negotiate responsibilities with each other. Evaluations come from peers who you work closest with, and they're trusted to call people out when they're not fulfilling their duties. Pressure doesn't come from the watchful eye of your boss, but from the expectations of your colleagues. This article is a great read. I encourage you to check the link in the description yourself. From what I read about Don Quixote, their retail operations are close to Morningstar's model. Stores have store managers, but the staff are expected to operate as a team made with autonomous individuals who are willing to collaborate, talk things out, and accommodate each other. I think this is great, and more retail stores should follow suit. The million-star system? I'm on the fence. As cutthroat as it is, for an already competitive industry like retail, internal competition may be a way to incentivize innovation. Donki is a large corporation trying to win in a capitalistic economy after all. But I am worried that when Donki does see a drop in profits, this system will stop being the fun game that they like to make it out to be, and could be used as a more traditional stack ranking to figure out who to cut. Alright, so we know Don Quixote's business strategy on the ground level and the middle manager level, but that doesn't explain why it's become as successful as it is. I've hinted at the company's expanding business here and there, but we've really only looked at one part of this giant conglomerate. So let's take a look at what goes on behind the scenes. Introducing Magica, Donki's membership system that allows customers to do all sorts of things, including, but not limited to, collecting points, using Donki's cashless payment system, taking advantage of digital coupons and discounts, and saving prescription information for contact lenses. At first glance, it doesn't seem too different from another store's points system or one of Japan's many commuter passes. What it actually is, though, is a mechanism designed to collect as much consumer data as it can. Let's start with the Maji Voice portal. Maji Voice is Donki's own community discussion forum. The word Maji is a colloquial word meaning serious or real. So Maji Voice is meant to be a place for customers to give their most blunt, honest reviews of Donki. The UI is purposely designed to encourage customers to leave feedback. Often, customer support portals on company websites feel hidden away at the bottom of the page, almost like they're saying, "Oh, well, please don't yell at me." But Donki welcomes critique with open arms. On the main page, we have the Honest Reviews section and the Tell Me discussion boards. The latter is for Donki to announce any new changes to their products or for customers to discuss among themselves about specific products, where they can find them, and how to use them. The honest reviews are where the real meat is. Why don't we look at the page for Donki's sweet potatoes? At the top, we have the product, the current ratio of good to meh ratings, and how the rating has changed over the months. Uh-oh, seems like satisfaction has gone down 10%. In the improvement report posted by Donki, it says they created a new sign explaining that they changed the type of sweet potato they sell, and that the old and new potatoes have different textures. The customer feedback ranges from, "It's delicious," to, "These used to be cheaper." "Part of my potato is rotting." It can be hit or miss. It seems like there's a bit of a consistency problem with the sweet potatoes. How about the Jonitz additive-free clear wrap? It's supposed to be microwave and freezer safe. Reception seems to be kinda mixed, leaning towards the negatives. A lot of people complain about this wrap not sticking to plates and that the teeth on the box are not cutting well. But there's also a lot of people who are like, well, at least it's cheap. How about the defeat everything that falls from the sky umbrella? Immediately, there's a complaint about the name being weird, but more importantly, a bunch of people are saying that it flips inside out against the wind. It's great that it's lightweight and doubles as a sun parasol, but it sounds kinda useless if it doesn't shield you in rainstorms. Maji Voice embodies Precept 5. We are unhesitant in the face of daunting challenges and unafraid to beat the rapid retreat when a cold, hard look at reality tells us that it is the best course. Donki isn't afraid to experiment and face failures in the process. But if you're going to fail, you better recover quickly or cut your losses and move on to the next thing. The Maji Voice feedback, in addition to sales numbers, is a way for Donki to check in with the reality of their products. Some things can be renovated and improved, while others have to be scrapped. What's fascinating is that this company built this reality check themselves, instead of passively watching their sales graphs go up and down. What's also in Donki's favor is its reputation as a discount store. Like I said, Donki really isn't a refined place, but that can be leveraged as an excuse to experiment with, frankly, subpar products. Japanese consumers have high standards for cheap yet high quality items. But if Donki customers already have low expectations because they know they're dealing with a cheap junk store, they're going to be more open to experimentation and forgiving of flops, especially if you provide them with a space to vent. Yet, Maji Voice is still another surface layer of Magica. This direct feedback isn't the only kind of data Don Quixote collects. Customers' Magica accounts keeps records of their past purchases as well, and from all this data, Donki makes marketing decisions not just for their own brand, but for their partner companies too. In fact, they have their own media department, PH Media, that uses Donki retail and Magica app data to help other brands effectively market their products. Here's an anecdote from Attack on Donki. a beer company wanted to see if their low-alcohol beer would appeal to the young adults of present-day Japan, who are drinking much less than previous generations. Through analyzing Donki's customer purchase histories, PH Media was able to see that young adults were indeed buying this product and that the low-alcohol drink replaced the alcohol-free beers customers previously purchased. This doesn't just prove the effectiveness of the product, it reveals a specific need the product caters to. Young adults aren't totally repelled by alcohol, and there's room in the market for easy-to-drink beers. I'm not a suit, but a retail company inventing its own customer data collection technology and forming its own marketing department to work with partner companies sounds extremely powerful. This feels like something that would be outsourced, but PH Media and the innovative digital division, Kaiba Lab, are child companies of Pan Pacific International Holdings. This is basically all done in-house. To realize how powerful Don Quijote has become, we have to zoom out of the Don Quijote discount stores and see what's beyond it. Let's look at one of Donki's smartest moves in recent years, the acquisition of the supermarket and general merchandise store, Uni. This caused Don Quijote profits to jump between 2018 and 2020. Naturally, when a company acquires another retail company like this, it means there are more storefronts, which leads to more outlets for sales, which leads to increased profit, yada yada. We could go over how Uni was gradually donkified by incorporating the floor staff autonomy philosophy, proactively responding to customer feedback, and sharing consumer data with Don Quijote. But then I'd be treading a lot of the same grounds. What's more important is Uni's effect on Donki, because Donki didn't turn Uni into another wacky discount store. Uni is the one that opened the floodgates for Donki to enter the supermarket industry and new merchandising sectors, and reach a wider, more family-friendly demographic. Like I keep saying, Donki tends to scare off some people. Some brands didn't want to work with them for fear of cheapening their own image. But now that they have a new identity called Uni, a clean, neighborly supermarket, all kinds of companies are willing to do business with Pan Pacific International. The biggest game changer is how Uni expanded Donki's food offerings tenfold. All those funky foods like the breaded chicken skin bento, weird sauces and such, they were made possible thanks to Uni's connection to food production companies. So is Donki just another bento shop now? Domestically? Maybe. But Supreme Advisor Yasuda believes this is the key to world domination. He believes that Japanese food is going to be the country's next major export, on the same scale as automobiles back in the 70s and 80s. And he's putting all his power into making that come true. The Don Donki stores in Southeast Asia are pretty different from the ones in Japan because PPIH knows that the same store image isn't going to win the overseas market. They focus less on general discount products and more on items made in Japan and offer tons of Japanese foods like sushi, shabu-shabu meat, bento boxes, and Japanese vegetables. They even have their own sushi restaurant, not only to make going to Donki more fun, but to have more people eat quality Japanese rice, the kind that they sell at their store. Donki's overseas strategy is to sell Japan itself, with cuisine at the center of it all. This is the strategy Yasuda is deploying for his conquest of the United States. He's looking at American consumers and saying, they have buying power. They can afford to spend money on quality Japanese food, and gosh darn they better because American food sucks.
そして食べてるもの圧倒的にまずいですからね。多くの人。まずいですね。本当にまずいんですよね。
Oh, you don't have to be so harsh. I get it though. It's surprisingly rare to find a Japanese restaurant in the US owned by someone Japanese, let alone offer dishes that resemble food you get in Japan. I f with the cream cheese avocado rolls and spicy dragon rolls though. That's good. But I think he's right to feel a gap in the market, and I kinda wanna see a Japanese company seize it. Wouldn't it be cool to find Don Quijotes everywhere? Wouldn't it be great if Japan could export its culture instead of relying only on tourism? Wouldn't it be cool if Pan Pacific International could compete with Amazon? Wouldn't it be good if... Would it be good? We're entering the analysis zone. Woo! So, for this part of the video, I did research about Japanese wages that led me down a rabbit hole about part-time workers and evil women keeping the medium wage down, how the Japanese government apparently protects small companies too much, and how Japanese people have difficulty negotiating wages. It's outside of the scope of this video, but I made a Patreon video if you're interested in me summarizing my readings. I'd also like to take this time to thank my Patreon members. It's thanks to their support that I get to keep making videos like this. You can join them on my Patreon page and read video retrospectives for free, or sign up for paid tiers to access progress updates and extra content, as well as get your name in my videos, like this. Sign up for the $10 tier and I'll even draw a little icon for you. Anyway, let's get back to Donki. When I first started to research this topic, I was fully prepared to dig into the shady, unethical practices of a giant conglomerate. As a chain that's been around for over 30 years, I didn't expect Donki to have a spotless record, and there is indeed a mix of tragic incidents, questionable decisions, workers' rights violations, and insider trading. Probably the most scandalizing is the arrest of former President Koji Ohara in 2020 for the same. According to this Kyodo News article, right before the acquisition of Uni Holdings that significantly jumped Don Quijote profits in 2018, Ohara allegedly advised his acquaintance to purchase Don Quixote stocks, resulting in a 69 million yen gain for the acquaintance. Ohara stated in court that he didn't know revisions in Japan's Financial Instruments and Exchange Act in 2014 prohibited executives from leaking corporate information in private before announcing it to the public. In 2023, he was charged 167 million yen for compensation by the Tokyo court. In 2016, Don Quijote was prosecuted because several of its Tokyo stores allegedly violated the Labor Standards Act by making their staff work well past the legal overtime limit. The upper limit is 120 hours in 3 months, but at their worst, they allegedly had staff working over 3 times that, 416 hours. Back in 2004, there were 3 incidents of alleged arson at Donki stores that killed 3 staff and left another 8 injured. In 2011, the chief compliance officer of Don Quijote was arrested for allegedly stealing money from the company by allegedly faking documents meant for consulting fees and condolence money for the arson victims' families. And then of course there was the clash with neighborhood groups that goes back to 1999. It's interesting to compare how Attack on Donki and the Japan Labor Party article discussed this issue. In Attack on Donki, author Sakai mentions how a member of the Liberal Democratic Party commented that Donki was a company full of problems and that the press turned against Donki. The Labor Party article mentions how rude and arrogant Donki representatives were during the briefing with residents, disregarding their concerns about the peace of their neighborhood. The article even says that the Donki reps demanded compensation from the residents for pushing back the store's opening. Attack on Donki doesn't completely ignore these scandals, but at the end of the day, success stories like this will be biased towards the company. I do have to say that Pan Pacific International Holdings seems to put a lot of energy into transparency, human rights, and environmental efforts. Their sustainability page is pretty thorough, covering topics such as the structure of their sustainability, diversity management and compliance committee, female employee promotion goals, various waste reduction efforts, their compliance hotline and whistleblower system. Attack on Donki specifically mentions that they have a subsidy program that covers birth control pills, not just for female employees, but for the female partners of employees as well. Most Japanese women have to pay out of pocket for birth control, so that's pretty convenient. Donki's YouTube channel even has a video outlining how they acquire fish and take care of their store fish tanks. But, I'm not an investigative journalist and I'm just taking them at their word. As much as I want to believe in them, I'll always be skeptical about what giant companies say. All that said, this underlying anxiety I feel about Don Quijote doesn't stem from the company. I'm not worried about Pan Pacific International's growth and expansion because I think they're an evil corporation. No, I think overall they care about their employees and customers, and that they're pretty good at delivering what their consumers want. Maybe too well. My real worry comes from how Don Quijote reflects Japanese consumer preferences for low prices and convenience, and I don't think that leads to healthy, sustainable production. Japan has been facing a weakening economy for years now. Despite being a developed country, wages have been stagnant for decades. Look at that line, it's as flat as Hank Hill's ass. And when wages don't go up, it makes sense that both consumers and goods producers believe price hikes are evil. The populace is used to cheap, mass-produced products, and in recent years with the weakening yen and rising cost of consumer goods, that's often all people can afford. As Yuji Kosaka explains in his Toyo Keizai article, Japanese companies know this too. Producers and manufacturers believe that cheap prices aren't just a good sales strategy, but that it's a company's duty to keep products affordable and within everyone's reach. An idea that's been ingrained into manufacturers since the post-war days. For example, the ice cream company Akagi has gone viral for posting apology photos every time they have to raise the price of their Gari Gari Kun ice pops by 10 yen. It's not uncommon to see ads from supermarkets proclaiming that they tried their hardest to keep prices low. This can lead to Japanese companies operating their businesses with environmentally damaging or unethical production. I don't think Don Quijote is purposefully negligent of ethical production. The sustainability page of PPIH's website lists their sustainable production policy with clauses like human rights considerations and thorough compliance with laws and promotion of sustainability. That said, I think a discount store whose business is buying cheap and selling cheap will have to forego some sustainability efforts. For example, Attack on Donkey mentions that Don Quijote has its own canned tuna. This product is produced and sold for a low price because they fish in Japan, ship it to Thailand to be packaged, and then that's shipped back to Japan. Somehow, it's cheaper to package this product overseas and ship it back and forth than it is to package it domestically, the latter which I assume will leave a smaller environmental footprint. This doesn't feel right to me. But the real kicker is, I don't think this is that big of a drawback for Japanese consumers. I don't think Japanese people are negligent of sustainability. The country has like 5 different kinds of recycling bins everywhere. Most people have reusable mai bags and sometimes mai hashi chopsticks. These eco-conscious activities are ingrained in Japanese society. Yet at the same time, bags of snacks are filled with individually wrapped candies. Supermarkets sell bananas and boiled eggs as single-wrapped items. Bento boxes and pre-made frozen foods are delicious and easy to eat, but their plastic containers easily pile up. Why do people live in this eco-paradox? Based on several Japanese articles and surveys regarding this topic, it's safe to say that Japanese people's awareness of sustainability is low. The SDGs Compass website has survey results that show increasing awareness over the years in sustainability-adjacent terms like eco, LOHAS, fair trade, ethical, and the word sustainability itself. However, other than eco, it's not a significant uptick. Over 70% of survey participants recognize the word eco, but less than 10% knew ethical. And I think this gap between eco and other words exemplifies the gap in consumer actions. Taking a look at what ethical practices people consciously conduct, we see that many people use reusable shopping bags, cups, and chopsticks. They also do things like turn off the lights and electronics to conserve energy, avoid wasting food, partake in recycling, and purchase recycled products. But then there's a dip when it gets to purchasing eco-friendly products, purchasing fair trade products, community volunteering efforts, and down at the end, participating in activism promoting ethical consumption, purchasing from ethical companies, or buying their stocks, and buying ethical fashion and jewelry. I don't expect, nor am I asking Japanese people to purchase stocks in ethical companies. That's kind of a big ask. But this data does make me think, there's a predictable reluctance to sacrifice time and money on sustainable consumerism. If you compare the most popular and least popular activities, you'll notice that the popular habits relate to reduction, either by reusing or reducing food, energy, and products. I think this is because there are clear personal benefits to these actions. Many stores give discounts for using your own shopping bag. Conserving energy results in lower electricity bills, and when you're wasting food, it feels like you're wasting money. On the other hand, investing in ethical products like fashion and jewelry is more expensive than fast fashion. Ethically or even just locally sourced foods are going to cost more. This spending doesn't feel good unless you believe that your actions make a difference. Even then, that pasture-based milk's gotta be really freaking good to make up for that steep price tag. In Japan, I see people throw around the word mottainai a lot. Heck, I feel it a lot myself. The word can be translated as wasteful, but I think it's more commonly used to express that something isn't worth the cost. Sometimes this can be a good thing. It's mottainai to leave the lights on when you leave the house, so you should turn it off. And it's mottainai to get takeout when you still have leftovers in the fridge. But this thought can be used against eco-conscious actions too. It's mottainai to cook a meal at home when it's so much faster to get food at a convenience store. It's mottainai to buy earrings from a sustainable brand when you can buy a similar design from fast fashion and then use that money you saved to buy something you really want, like that brand dress. I think a lot of the sentiment comes from how distant sustainability feels to people, so it's deprioritized when compared to personal comfort and finance. According to a 2024 Mintel survey, only 19% of Japanese people believe that their actions positively impact their environment, while the global average is 47%. In addition, a Boston Consulting Group survey from 2022 shows that, compared to other countries, Japanese people don't mind if their peers aren't into sustainability efforts and are less likely to find people who are invested in sustainability commendable. The same survey shows that the top 3 reasons Japanese people are reluctant to change their habits for sustainability are that it's inconvenient or too much of a hassle, it costs money, and that they don't really know what they can do for the environment. I know I'm getting awfully close to blaming Japanese people for their apathy, but I totally get where they're coming from. If you're a hard-working, underpaid salaryman, you're not going to be thinking about climate change as you're shopping. Japanese companies are pretty good at meeting SDGs themselves, but that's at least partially because they outsource a lot of unethical labor overseas, so sweatshops are invisible to you as a consumer. Even if you knew about these things, society doesn't convince you that your actions will lead to environmental change. You just want to buy whatever is cheap and convenient. So why would you spend extra money on sustainable products? Maybe if you have a coupon? To get back to Don Quixote, my concern is that Donki's domestic success resulted from reflecting these Japanese consumer preferences for low prices and convenience, even at the cost of the environment and ethical labor. I worry that as Donki expands its business overseas, it will operate with the same set of consumer expectations and manufacturing practices. I'm especially sensitive when it comes to food waste, and Japan's average food loss per person is higher than the United States. I'm not worried just about Donki's bento boxes stacking. I'm worried that they'll overproduce food products that'll end up getting thrown away. In other words, I'm afraid Donki will become another Shein or Temu, a company that produces trendy goods in sweatshops for ridiculously low prices and ships them across the world, only to be sent to the landfill in a month or two. I even see similarities in their shopping experiences. Temu and Shein have gamified shopping, offering time-sensitive deals and flashy gimmicks to give shoppers a fun experience rather than quality products. How is this not a digital version of Donki's strategy? All that said, I have some hope that Don Quixote's global business won't fall into that trap. It's not because I completely trust their words, but I can see from their businesses in Singapore and Malaysia that they can prioritize quality over discount. Because of their business's flexibility, they didn't struggle to deploy a different strategy for their overseas stores. And maybe if American consumers are vocal about sustainable foods and products, they might actually listen and work on that mission even harder. But that probably means we gotta download Magica and give them our data. Damn it, they're still a giant capitalistic company. But what do you think? Do you like donkey stores? Do you welcome Don Quixote as our new overlord? What's your favorite flavor of Kit Kat? Tell me in the comments below. ドドドドンキドンキホーテボリューム満点激安ジャングル
ジャングルだ
ドドドドンキホーテ